lessons to learn from the Senegalese society itself. I think over the years, the Senegalese society has been able to build that sense of political consensus about, democracy being something that is there to stay. And that is why right from 1960, they've had this stable democracy up till now. And it will interest you to note that the dates of their handing over, to the new government has not changed for the past 30 years. So that is to show you that the culture has been established. The second thing about Senegalese society is the fact that the people are conscious and are ready to come out and fight for their rights and demand for their rights. I think when this process started 3 years ago, when the issue of the third term, began to come out and people began to protest, there were fears that Senegal was going to go down in a military coup over time at that different point in time. But that, for me, that has never crossed my mind, because right from 2012, I think I was to some extent involved in supporting the civil society process that brought Macky Sall into power. And it is funny to see that the same wind that brought him into power is the same wind that took him out. So there's that consistency in the Senegalese, society and system. And I think to some extent it has to do with their sense of, community, their sense of brotherhood and, and what they call teranga, the sense of carrying everybody along, of working with everybody and helping each other, So I think that has played a very good role. That said, I think the Senegalese leaders have also been sort of, products of that culture, but also they've, to a very large extent, tried to stick, to the needs of the people in the government, in the governance process, and that has been able to produce some level of, consistent development that, has been able to capture the interests of the people. Unlike other countries, where you find, leaders come into power and what they are known for is corruption, and that produces a lot of disenchantment within the society, and we see military coups here and there. For example, we've seen over the past, I would say 1 year, certain developments across the region. The adoption of laws that, that are not in the interest of the people. That, specifically close up the freedom of the flow of information. We've seen also leaders coming up at will to dissolve, parliament, for example, in Guinea-Bissau, against constitutional precepts, and nothing is done. That cannot happen in Senegal. That cannot happen in Senegal. We've also seen in the countries under military rule a lot of draconian laws affecting or targeting, opposition voices. Not really opposition parties, but opposition voices in the civil society, in the media, calling for political transition. For example, in Burkina Faso, we have this law of forced conscription, where the government can just decide to conscript you at any point in time. And they've used it against a lot of activists that have spoken, that have called for democratic transitions. And the next day, the person is missing and is at the war front fighting the terrorists. Then again, I think for Senegal, it doesn't have so much of this Islamist insurgents. you know, let's take Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, which is a common, you know, denominator among them. They don't have that, so they've not had to, as a society, confront something like that. Perhaps we may see a different experience, but for these other countries, these experiences have become a sort of excuse,
okay,
you know, to carry out certain, you know, political adventurism. In all the three countries, there has been reference to the security threats as a reason for them, you know, taking power. So I think what I'm trying to say is that the societies are diverse, you know, even though the lessons of Senegal are timeless, there is a culture in place that, you know, sustains democracy. In these other countries, and I think to a very large extent, including Nigeria, for Nigeria, it's a different kind of category, so, you know. But we need, as a people in West Africa, to draw from these lessons of entrenching that culture.
We need to draw and entrench the culture.
Entrench that culture based on, you know, traditional value systems.
Thank you.